when you think about leading a team like this, it just sounds incredibly complex and nuanced. And I'm sure day to day you're doing all sorts of different things, whether it's talking to the board or, being out on the factory floor. As, before we came live, you were sharing how you'd actually recently been to some of your manufacturing facilities. So tell us, what does it take to be that type of leader who can adjust between all those different situations? And how did you actually learn this?
Oh wow! I think it needs a little bit of confidence that the process and the people and the systems will deliver. Right, that's the first thing. Right, and it's also about developing a culture that accepts that things can change depending on where you are in your own individual maturity or even activity. So our tools and methods are slightly modified to suit local culture. Something that works in the United States or in, say, Brazil or in the UK may not work in Japan or China. The frame works, but the actual details may not work. So we give the sites the authority to modify things so it's successful for them. So it's like, and this will answer your overall question, it's like we set the frame, but we give flexibility within the frame, right, for people to adapt things. The other thing is making sure that you have an amazing team around you, right, that are very complementary on the way they work together. And it's like a soccer team, right? Sometimes you get the best players and put them on the field, and they lose every match. You sometimes have to pick the right person that wants to play in the team. Maybe you have your odd superstar, but you need to get the right balance. And it's the same with our teams. So we do everything through our teams. So, for example, with the senior leadership from the different zones across the world, we get together on a regular basis. We share what's going on, our challenges, etc. We agree on new directives and the content of new directives, which takes quite a long time sometimes to issue something new. It's very, I'm going to say, it's something I learned when I came to France, right? About the French culture likes to discuss things before it goes forward. And I think with my English Anglo-Saxon culture, I found that right balance. How far do you go where you discuss, right? If you get everybody on board, and when do you make a decision? And I think what I've built over the years, if we're looking at me in my position, is I've connected with the people, right? I've connected and I've worked with them, and we've built what we see today in L'Oréal as a team, right? And even when we come top down on things, these webinars from my team, from the zone teams to the sites, etc. So we try to explain, give a little bit of sense of why, the sense of purpose that's behind the actual tools and the methodologies that we put in place. And what you've asked me to tell you is something that's built over years. I mean, I spend, even though I have this very nice title and I live in Paris and Paris is great, I'm 50 to 60% of my time on the road, right? I visit our sites, I connect with the people know me. I don't even have a problem if somebody in the EHS team in a factory or in a warehouse contacts me on Teams and asks me a question. I'll always reply, right? And I think that approach as well, and this is going back a little bit, part of it also comes from my roots, right? From where I was brought up, my parents lived in a very small town. Neither of my parents had any real money. And I would say that I valued everything that I got in life as I was going through when I was younger. And I was very fortunate to get to be educated. I ended up going to university. I think I was the first person in our family to go to university ever, kind of thing. But I don't think I've ever forgotten the roots and that importance of connecting with people. But it takes a long time. It takes a long time to build it, kind of thing, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. And then, I think if I can say, I think that's almost the way it works. And I love to network as well, right? I manage 3 or 4 networks of about 40 different companies like L'Oréal, some small, some big. And you know something? A lot of what I've put in place in L'Oréal, the seeds, the starting point has come from those other companies. I mean, we call about stealing with pride and everything, and that's what I've done. We share, we learn, we adapt, and then we apply, and it's been successful. But yeah, I'm not fully
I
answered
feel
your
like you're one
question,
of the,
Megan, but
you did. And then in addition, I feel like you're one of the biggest networkers that I've ever seen. So, you're, with the 1% better stuff, the ROSPA stuff, there's even more things, the Safety on the Edge conference. And I'm probably forgetting a bunch of things, but there's so many things that it feels like you're either the quiet guy behind it or you're sowing a seed and you're looking to build something that others can get benefit out. But at the end of the day, it's also this massive legacy. What really inspires you to, number one, do all this networking? Because honestly, I find it exhausting. And then number two, all these things that you're doing and that you are supporting, either through L'Oreal or through your own efforts and energy and commitment. It's just really inspiring, Malcolm.
wow. Partly, there's a twofold thing. If you want to be successful in a business, you need to have allies within the business. And we're just talking about L'Oreal. And you need to be seen to align with the business values, right? And what the business is driving, rather than health and safety is apart. It's on its own or whatever. One of the things that is, I think, important for all the companies I've worked for is also things like how it's perceived externally, right? And L'Oreal does a lot of that kind of stuff. So I think where I am in an organization like L'Oreal, it allows me, because of its business culture, to go out there and give back, right? I mean, L'Oreal, for example, on the social side, has like a foundation which it gives money to places. L'Oreal founded and sponsors Women in Science, the UNESCO thing as well. So there was a logical thing that for me, by doing the right thing, which is definitely the right thing to do, like I have Women in Safety with what I do with ROSPA, what I've set up within L'Oreal, and what I've done with some other organizations with respect to diversity, equity, inclusion, it fits in with the business, right? Okay. And L'Oreal is also a kind of company that allows you to go out there and be yourself, right? I mean, some other companies, L'Oreal's my 10th company. My other companies have never given me that kind of flexibility and possibility to do it. And that gives me energy, right? Because I feel as if I'm contributing to the organization. Not only that, at the same time, I'm representing the profession that I love, and I'm promoting the profession that I love, health and safety, right? So, and it all just comes together. And once you're in that kind of, I'm going to say mindset, it's like it's like a virtual circle. It just feeds me, right? The value that I get in seeing people doing well through mentorships, developing themselves, and maybe even taking a little bit of L'Oreal or what we do into their organization because we've inspired them in a certain way. It just drives me. And at the same time, I can do that because I have an amazing team. I have a team that are quite autonomous. I give them a lot of autonomy, but they deliver, right? So if I had more time in the office, maybe they would get more micromanaged and maybe it wouldn't work. But and I think the balance is right. Now, if L'Oreal was not doing very well when it comes to safety performance, safety culture, and all the rest of it, then I would reduce a lot what I do externally because I would need to turn my attention to where we are and what we do in L'Oreal. But I'm completely fueled by it, and I think people that have leadership positions, if you want to call it leadership positions, and I don't like the word leadership because I think it shouldn't be people like us that say we're leaders. We should wait. It's other people that decide you're a leader, in my opinion, right? It's not ourselves. But if people are inspired by it and it allows them to do something, then it's got to be good for health and safety as a profession. It's not going to do any harm for L'Oreal and its reputation as well, though I don't do it for that kind of reason. And I meet some amazing people, like you two, for example. I mean, if I am to be networking like I did, I would never have met either of you, right? So anyhow, and it just inspires me. But I think it's something that you have to work out, right? I don't think it's something that necessarily comes natural. I think you've got to want to give back. I don't talk about legacy because I'm not giving up yet, right? And I love what I do. So it's not legacy; it's more like continuing what I've always done and building on, building on that. If that makes sense. I'm coming to you from the heart here, so you're not getting anything that's sort of like hard facts and all the rest of it. I'm just talking from here. So.